Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage at Bannister Hyundai. Today we are looking at the new N-Line version of the Kona Electric. That's right, this vehicle now has a sportier variant, the N-Line. So, if you aren't already aware, the N-Line is part of Hyundai's N division. Now, the N division generally is more sporty, and it definitely has a better, sportier look to it as well. Now, it's not an N, not to be mistaken with just N. The N-Line is usually just in the looks of the vehicle. So this one doesn't have any better performance. It's really just the looks of the vehicle. And it is a top trim variant. So this has all of the features available that for instance, the 2024 Ultimate had. This has all of that stuff. Plus, it just looks better. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to go over the whole vehicle. I'm going to show you a little bit about the infotainment system, but I'm not going to show you too much about that because I've got a video specifically on the infotainment system, which I will link in the description down below. But I'm going to show you everything else about this vehicle, and we'll go over all of its features and what you get for your money. All right, so let's get some of the EV specs out of the way real quick. This has a 64.7 kilowatt hour battery. The range is 418 kilometers on average, and the charge time between 10 to 80% is roughly 30 minutes. Now, this can charge at a maximum rate of 100 kilowatts, so it's a little faster charging than the old Konas, like the 23s and priors, but it's not going to be as fast as like an Ioniq 5 or an Ioniq 6 or an Ioniq 9. This will charge a little bit slower. It's also only front-wheel drive, so those are some things to get out of the way, but it is significantly less expensive than an Ioniq 5 or an Ioniq 6 or whatever. So it's a smaller EV. In the market, this would compete with the Chevy Bolt EUV, which... that's a nice vehicle, but this does trounce that, but it's also a little bit more expensive. Now, I say trounce, well, I mean, it has similar, as far as the space goes, similar space, it has similar performance. However, this is a little bit more comfortable, and this will charge quite a bit faster. The EUV can only charge at 50 kilowatts. This is twice as fast as that. So some definite benefits of the Kona versus the Bolt. Anyway, as far as other vehicles in its class, there really isn't anything else aside from the Bolt, really, because everything else is a little bit bigger and would compete with the Ioniq 5 or the Ioniq 6 for that matter. But anyway, let's have a look at this vehicle. What we're going to do is we're going to start at the front, make our way to the back, look around a little bit on the outside, and then we'll go inside the vehicle as well. So starting on the front, we have projection headlights and high beams. You got the turn signals there. You got this newer sort of designed front bumper here. The fascia is different on the N-Line, and of course you got the N-Line badge there as well. You got front parking sensors, okay, and those actually wrap around to the sides, as you can see there. Charge door is up front here, so it's a push to open. And then of course these ones do still use CCS, but you will be able to use Tesla stations, Tesla supercharging stations with an adapter on this. And this also includes the ability to use vehicle to load with the appropriate adapter as well. Here you can see we've got 4 lights that indicate the current charge, so, each quarter of the charge. The hold button there is to temporarily disable scheduled charging. And what's really nice about this door is that when the temperature is below 0, this actually will stay warmed up so that if it ices over, you'll still be able to open it up. So it won't ice over, in other words, is what I'm getting at. Underneath the license plate frame, at the forward-facing radar there, that is, of course, for adaptive cruise control and vehicle detection. So for instance, if you're coming up to a vehicle in front of you, the autonomous emergency braking system, whatnot, that actually works in conjunction with the camera up in the windshield there for that system. And also, the camera in the windshield will also be for lane keep assistance, lane departure warning, pedestrian detection, cyclist detection, junction turning detection, etc. So all the safety technology there as well. Also up in the windshield, right above that, there is a sensor for the automatic wiper, so it has automatic wipers as well. This strip in the front here is your daytime running lights, so that starts from here, stops here, and then these lights will be on as well when your headlights are on. Now don't mind the flickering, it doesn't actually flicker like that in real life. Now, there's also a little camera right here, because this vehicle includes the 360 surround camera system, which I'll show you a little bit later. All right, let's walk past the side here and have a look at this side. So this one has these new rims, okay, so these are specific to the N-Line. They're a 19-inch rim. They definitely look a little sportier, but they are very, very flat for aerodynamic efficiency. So it's 235, 45, 19-inch tires, and they're Kumo tires on this one, Kumo Majesty K Silent, so they are specifically designed for EVs. Another N-Line badge there. Slight difference in the rocker panel here, so a little bit nicer looking rocker panel. As we pass the mirror, you can see we got the marker lights on the mirrors. There's a camera there as well for the 360 camera system. The light for the blind spot monitoring is there as well. And this also has blind view monitor, which I'll also show you later on. This one does have the proximity entry, and that you just basically put your hand in and it'll unlock. It uses digital key as well, so you can use your phone as a key, providing you have a Samsung, iPhone, or Google Pixel with the correct UWB technology. Further around to the back here, you can see we've got another side sensor as well as backup sensors on the back of the vehicle. And the rear bumper fascia is also specific to the N-Line. So another good looking vehicle here. This one does have a rear wiper, which is nice. Got LED lights all along the back here, which is also nice. And if I press this button, a power tailgate. Now the power tailgate is automatic as well. I always show this in my reviews, and I forgot to do that this time. Basically, if you stand behind the vehicle for 4 seconds with your key in your pocket or your purse, the tailgate will open up. All right, having a look in the back here, we got about 25 cubic feet of space in the back in the cargo area. It does, of course, have the removable privacy cover, 60/40 split rear bench, and the rear bench is reclinable, which I'll show you in a bit. You can see here we got the little subwoofer, of course, because this one does have the Bose audio stereo system. Underneath the floor, just a good amount of space, enough room to stick a spare tire, but you do get a tire mobility kit, which is basically a pump and a sealant. This floor can also be lowered down to this level if you just need a couple extra inches of height there as well. All right, let's look at the front trunk. All right, to access the front trunk, we first need to pop the hood, which is right there. And then we'll go around. Now this is kind of nice because it is a one-handed movement. So there's a little lip under there, you kind of push to the left. There we go, right there. And there's your front trunk. So a little small front trunk. It's not huge, but the reason for that is because Hyundai mounts their inverter and motor and everything. They stack it vertically so as not to take away space from the interior. So this is a little bit smaller because of that, but that's fine. This is plenty of room to store, you know, your charging cable, the tire mobility kit, first aid kit, maybe a couple bottles of beer. So there's a decent amount of space in there still. From here, you also have access to the 12-volt battery, and you'll notice here is your fuse box. And in the event of a emergency, you can see we got the little fireman's hat there. All they need to do to disconnect the high voltage battery is lift up on this tab, and when they're done, if the car is still drivable, they can push that back down, and then the car kind of comes back to life. That is much better than having a little red wiring loop that you can cut, because then you'd have to replace that wiring harness. All right, before we jump into the Kona Electric N-Line, let's have a quick look at the key. So this does have the Hyundai badge key, the egg-shaped thing, whatever you want to call this. Not a lot of people like this key, but it does have a pretty cool function. Let's remote start the car here. Now this will remote start the climate system. Obviously there's no engine to run, but you'll notice these two buttons on the side here. If I hold this front one, watch what happens. Woohoo! There the car goes all by itself. So if it's in a really tight parking space, you can actually use these two buttons to move the vehicle forwards and backwards. That's called Smart Park. So pretty cool system. It's coming with almost every single new Hyundai, with the exception of the Elantra and the Venue. Every other Hyundai in the top trim has that feature, so that's pretty awesome. All right, let's check out the back seat first. All right, so that front seat is where I would drive it. So let's see how much room we've got here. Sorry about the sun glare, guys. Okay, so plenty of room in here. I've got lots of headroom. I've got about 1.5 inches in front of my knees, so it's actually a pretty comfortable place to be. I can also put my feet underneath the front seat. There's enough room there. I've got access to vents here, some backlit USB ports, and a nice little pocket for a cell phone. And then both of the seat backs also have the little netting thing there on both of them. And notice the seat backs are actually solid as well. So if you do have kids back here kicking the seat, you know, you're not going to notice it as much. We got grab handles all 4 corners, and we have a center cup holder armrest here, which is nice and cushy with the 2 cup holders. Now, these seats can actually recline a little bit as well. So to do that, we do have to grab the handle on the back here and then just push back a little bit. There we go. So now it's reclined a couple inches. So the old Kona couldn't recline at all. The 23 and prior couldn't recline at all. In 24, they redesigned the vehicle and they added that feature, and that's pretty nice. I mean, it's a smaller SUV, so there's not a whole lot of room in the back, so they couldn't recline it too much. But the fact that it can recline is quite nice. So pretty comfortable for the rear seat passenger. Let's check out the front seats. So the passenger seat is 6-way adjustable. Okay, so you got height, up and down, and then your backrest, and then the bar on the front to move the seat forwards and backwards. So pretty comfortable seats. You can see we've got good bolstering here, some beautiful red accents and red stitching in the seats, even the Alcantara badge, because this is Alcantara, so it's a really nice high quality material. Above that, of course, we have the N badge, and of course the headrests go up and down as well. However, on the driver's side, we have a nice power seat. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-way adjustable power driver seat, as well as the headrest, of course. Now, this is, of course, going to be your lower back support. The seat also has tilt and height adjustment, which is nice. All right, having a look at the door here, pretty straightforward stuff. You got your bottle holder there, a little pocket for stuff, power windows, and of course locks and whatnot. Mirrors are all controlled from here. But let's jump in and have a look at some of the other features. All right, starting to the left of the steering wheel, we got our dimmer switch here, traction stability control, the hold button to open up the tailgate, and then this is your power e-brake. However, that's automatic as well, so you'll really never need to pull on that. Above that, we have a nice little vent here, again, some more red accents, and then this thing here, you can actually put magnets. There's a piece of metal behind here, so if you want to like hang a photo or something like that, you can use a magnet to stick onto that. Kind of neat. Now, it does, of course, have a tilt and telescopic steering wheel, but let's talk about the buttons on the steering wheel first off. So on the back, you can see we've got 2 paddles. One goes up, one goes down. That is for the regenerative braking level. So on the bottom right corner here of the screen, it says level 3. If I pull the right paddle, that will actually drop it down to level 2, level 1. Let me just zoom in on that so you can see what I'm talking about. So there's level 1. If I pull the left paddle, it goes level 2, level 3, and then I pedal. Now those levels, those are your regenerative braking levels. So if you've never driven an EV before, the easiest way to explain this is when you let off the accelerator, the car slows down if it's in one of those levels, okay? And the way that it's doing that is it's using the electric motor to generate electricity, which then imparts a resistance to the vehicle and slows it down. The higher the level, the faster you slow down. Does it give you better range? No, that's actually a myth. Regenerative braking does give you better range, but the different levels don't give you better range. What I mean by that is this. If you have it in level 0 and you take your foot off the accelerator and it just coasts, when you put your foot on the brake, it actually uses all the way up to maximum regen level before actually using the brake pads. In an EV, you're not going to use the brake pads very much. So it's only about 10% of your braking comes from your brake pads. Hitting the brakes hard, yes, obviously it's going to use your brake pads. But the different levels, what that is essentially it's giving you choice. It's giving you an option to have the vehicle slow down more when you take your foot off the accelerator or completely come to a stop as well. So when I pedal, the vehicle will completely stop. When you take your foot off the accelerator, it'll slow down pretty quickly and then come to a complete stop. In levels 1, 2, and 3, and level 0, obviously, it doesn't come to a complete stop. It'll slow down, especially in level 3. It'll slow down to about 10 kilometers an hour, and then it'll just kind of creep along. So the fact that you have different levels is just Hyundai's way of giving you an option as to what you want to do, what you prefer. It's all personal preference. Ultimately, the best range can be had in level 0, because if you can, avoid slowing down altogether, if you can just coast it out, chances are you'll actually get slightly better range. It's not a huge difference, but sort of been the general consensus anyway, that level 0 will give you the best range. So I don't know how much better it is, to be honest. I keep mine in one pedal driving all the time. So, okay, let's look at some of the other stuff on the steering wheel. So on the left side of the steering wheel, we have the controls for the adaptive cruise control. So this vehicle will maintain a position between you and the car in front of you. It's dynamic, so the faster you're going, the distance will be larger. But basically, to set your cruise control, you press this button here. and that will turn on cruise and set your initial speed. This will increase it, decrease it, pause it, and resume it. This one will change the distance between you and the car in front of you. So that's your dynamic distance adjustment there. These two right here, they go through that center screen. So as you can see, I'm pressing the button. There are 3 screens, this one, and this one. However, this first one has multiple other sub-screens within it as well. And to cycle through those, you're going to use the little scroll wheel underneath. It's also an OK button though. So if you want to reset something, for instance, let's say we want to reset this here. If I hold the button down, boom, it all resets to zeros. That's your trip computer. The button underneath that is for lane keep assistance, or lane centering rather. Well, actually it's both. So if you press this, it turns on lane keep assist. See, I keep saying the wrong thing. It turns on lane centering. That's the little steering wheel icon there. But if you hold the button, then it turns off lane keep assistance. So what's the difference? Well, lane keep assistance just works over 64 kilometers an hour. It doesn't work at speeds below that. You can drift right off the road and crash into a ditch. But if you're going more than 64 kilometers an hour and the forward-facing camera can see the lines on the road, it'll keep you on the road. If you start to drift, basically when you hit either the yellow or the white line, it'll kind of, or if you're in Europe, the white line, it'll just kind of prompt you back towards the center of the road, and it'll drift all the way to the other side if you let off the steering wheel. However, lane keep assistance will, I said it again, lane centering will keep you centered in the lane. You can see why I keep saying the wrong things here, because lane keep assist and lane centering, I mean, they're very similar technologies. Lane centering keeps you right in the center. Lane keep assist keeps you from going off the road. That's the difference between those two. But lane centering works at any speed, again, assuming the camera can see the lines on the road. So you can enable and disable both with that one button. So a simple press and release will turn off and on lane centering. A hold will turn on and off lane keep assist. Now, the lane keep assist will remember what setting you have when you shut the car off, turn it back on. It'll just be whatever you left it. Lane centering will always be turned off. You always need to turn that on when you go to use the vehicle. All right, in the middle, obviously we've got the horn. We've got the 4 little dots here. That's actually the letter H in Morse code, in case you're wondering why there are 4 dots there. On the right-hand side of the steering wheel, we have all the controls for the multimedia system. Now, this is just going to control that screen, nothing else. So we got where the music's coming from, next song, next track, previous track, next preset, previous preset. This is a customizable button, which you can actually configure. Check out the video and the link in the description below to learn more about that. Voice recognition. Now, this will be for the built-in system, and if you hold it, it'll be for your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so for Siri or Google Assistant. Your volume switch or knob right here, it's also a mute button, and then you have your answer and hang up button here as well. Now, behind the steering wheel, of course, we have the 2 stalks. This one here is for your turn signal. It's also for your headlights. So it does have automatic headlights and automatic high beams. We like to put it in the full on all the time here, so you have taillights on during the day. And it also has the one-touch turn signal, but one of the coolest functions is this, the blind view monitor. Check it out. So it shows you an image down the side of the vehicle, and if you put it on the right signal, it does that on the opposite side of the screen. Super cool. But yeah, when you tap it, it'll flash 3, 5, or 7 times, depending on how you have it set up. To turn on the high beams, you're going to push that stalk away from you or pull it towards you. And of course, if it's on auto and you push it away from you, now it's on auto high beams as well. So pretty cool. On the right-hand stalk is your window wiper and washer stalk. Now it is automatic. And check this out. Anytime you adjust the setting, it shows you what setting you're on in the screen here. So you don't even need to necessarily look at the stalk. The end of the stalk is your rear wiper, which can also be set to automatically come on when the vehicle's in reverse and your front wipers are already going. All right, having a quick look at the instrument cluster, some things that you can see on here. So we have the speedometer on the left, the range on the right, and of course how much power is being drawn. So as you sort of accelerate or decelerate, little bars will kind of show up in here showing what's going on with your power consumption and usage. We have the icons along the top here, which will show you the drive information. Currently it's on lane keep assist and lane centering is turned off. The setting for the light will be at the top there. This little guy here is the speed limit, so that'll show, you know, how many kilometers an hour, miles per hour you're allowed to drive. Down here you can see we've got our e-brake is turned on. We are currently in eco mode, so if I change the drive mode, So if I rotate the little knob in the center console, we can see we have Eco, Normal, and Sport, and we also have Snow mode. So Eco mode is going to use the least amount of power. It's going to be the least sluggish. Normal is going to use a little bit more power. Obviously, you'll notice the range changing on the right-hand side there as well. Sport mode uses most power, gives you the most power and torque. Snow mode, and it also tightens up your steering wheel. Snow mode makes you start off really slowly, and it also will increase the aggressiveness of the traction control system and limit you to level 1 regeneration. You can't go any higher than that. But Eco mode is pretty much the mode that most people will keep it in. Also on the bottom of the screen, you can see the little ready thing there just indicates that yes, the car is on and ready to drive. Then we have our temperature with a little icon beside it indicating that there might be ice on the road. This is the gear that you're in, the current battery level, there's the regen level as I was talking about, and then your odometer right here. So that'll obviously tell you how many kilometers you have in your vehicle, or miles. Now, you can change what this screen looks like. To give you an example, I'm on the setting for that screen here. It's under setting and then display. But check this out. I'm going to go ahead and put it into simple mode first. So there's what that looks like. And then of course that was modern. We also have classic. But we can also change the coloring of that as well. So I can put it into style B, style C, and then if I go back to modern or simple, you can see they all change based on the background and the color. So there's a little bit of customization in there, which is kind of nice. All right, let's have a look at the center console. So underneath the armrest, you can see we have a little storage tray, and that's actually removable. Underneath that, just a bunch of extra space. We got our cup holders here, which do have the little springy bits to push smaller cups into the holders. Now these can actually be folded out of the way if they're not being used, and then you can also take this out of here. So now you got this big long gap space in here if you want to put like a wet umbrella or something like that in there. Now if you do need the cup holders, you can just simply push those buttons and they pop back out. Above that we have the heated seat buttons, the ventilated seats. That's right, these are ventilated seats. So 3 levels each on both sides, of course. 2-level heated steering wheel, and I'm proud and happy to say that this beautiful leather-wrapped steering wheel with perforated holes on the grips, the whole thing is heated, not just the grips. We have the auto hold button here, which stops the vehicle from moving when you take your foot off the brake if you're not already using iPedal. We have our parking sensors. That's where you can enable and disable that. Also, if you hold this button, it will disable the parking collision avoidance assistance, as you may have seen there pop up on the screen. So that's when you're backing up and it detects something behind you, it can actually hit the brakes for you to prevent you backing into something. And then we have the, here's the drive mode thing I was talking about before. We have the camera button here. So check this out. If I press that, that turns on the camera system. And a couple of things I want to point out with the system. A, very, very high quality, high resolution screens. You also have the dynamic steering lines on the top-down view, or also in reverse when you have the car in reverse. But those dynamic steering lines on the top-down view, they actually show you the swing of the vehicle in the front. So if I put it in reverse again, well, actually I can show you that right here, showing where the side of the car is going to end up. So that's pretty smart. And then if we're in reverse, I'll do that one more time here. Shows you the swing of the front of the vehicle if you're turning. So pretty neat. Also, you can see the bumper along the bottom here. And also, check this out. I can put it into sort of 3D mode. There we go. So now we can see all around the vehicle. How cool is that? And notice, if I turn the steering wheel, it's actually going to show me the direction that the wheels are facing. And if I start to drive, it'll even show me those wheels turning. So they've really kind of thought of a lot here. Check this out. There they go. Pretty neat, eh? Right back in reverse here. Park the car again. But also on this screen. So here, if I tap this little icon, I can change the view. So there's a top-down view. I can look at just the rear wheels on both sides. And then I can kind of get a full view. I can do that in drive as well. So again, we'll go to this icon here, and now we can see both of the front wheels. Look at that. So if you're parallel parking, that becomes super handy. Right, getting back to the center console, right above that is your wireless charging pad. So a nice rubberized pad here, and notice that it is a little bit higher than the side. So if you have a camera bump on your phone, that'll kind of sit on the side, and the back of the phone will be nice and flush against the wireless charging pad. This is also the near field communication device. So that's where you would put your phone if you're using digital key. Right above that, we have a couple of ports. So we got our USB-C port here, which will connect directly to the infotainment system. Unless you press this button, now it will just charge devices. This one here will just charge devices. Right next to that is the light for the wireless charger, so that will flash or stay on orange, when you have something on the wireless charger. And then we also have a 12-volt port there with an incredibly highly overly engineered door. And above that is our climate control, so dual zone automatic climate control with the option to limit it to driver only. It is also 3 levels of auto, so if the fans are going a little bit too quick, you can just slow it down by reducing the auto intensity there. So these are your temperatures on either side. Over here we have rear defrost, front defrost. The rear defrost is manual, you need to turn that on. The front defrost is automatic though, so it'll just come on when it needs to. Same with the AC, of course, because it is automatic dual zone climate control. And one of the things I really like, you'll notice we have the recirculate button here. If I pull the washer fluid, it's going to automatically recirculate the air so that I don't have to smell the outside, windshield washer fluid air. So that's pretty neat. And if I go into setup here, I can show you that under the climate controls, one second, where's climate? Under vehicle, climate, recirculate air. We can also have it recirculate the air when we drive through tunnels. So pretty cool. All right, above the climate control system is the row of buttons for the infotainment system. So you got your volume knob, your tuning knob. Home will, of course, always take you back to the home screen. Map will take you back to the map screen. Search will search globally for whatever it is you want to search for. So not just addresses, but also contacts, music, media, information, stuff like that. So it's a global search. Searches all sorts of different things. It says here, address, setup, contacts, media. So pretty cool. Media will just allow you to choose where your music is coming from. So you press it twice, brings up this screen, shows you all the different possible sources of music. Hazard switch, of course, seek and tracker, obvious. This is another customizable button, so you can choose what you want it to do. And then the setup button will take you to the setup screen. Pretty simple. Speaking of screens, these are both non-polarized screens, which means if you wear polarized sunglasses, you can still see what's on the screen. If you want to learn everything there is to learn about this screen, please check out the link in the description below. I'll just give you a real quick overview though. So here's your mini map. If I tap that, it brings up the full map. No, you cannot make this day mode. This is always going to be night mode. When you open it up, it'll be day or night mode, depending on whether or not it's day or night. Media is going to be there. The EV screen is where you can go to set your scheduled climate, scheduled charging, see a rough idea of how far you can go with the amount of charge you have, as well as where the next charging station is, etc. There's a lot to see in here. But let's go to this little icon here. See, we can actually precondition the battery. We can do that at any time. You don't have to pilot to or navigate to a charging station. You can just turn it on from here. Another really cool thing in the EV screen is this icon here. If we tap that, it shows us how much power is actually going to each particular aspect of the vehicle. So currently we're not moving, so drivetrain is at 0. The electronics are using 0.5 kilowatt. The climate system is using about 1.5 kilowatts. Battery care, which would be like that preconditioning, is using 0 because it's not actually doing that right now. So this is kind of a neat thing to show anybody that is against EVs and likes to say, oh, what are you going to do when you're stuck on the freeway and snow or whatever? Well, as you can see, the electronics and the climate are using very, very little energy. So what this essentially means is that it's using around 0.5 to 1 kilowatt per hour. Well, this vehicle has a 64.7 kilowatt hour battery. So if the battery is fully charged and these two things together use about 1 kilowatt sort of on average, that means you'd be able to sit there for 64.7 hours running the climate and the electronics. Maybe a little bit less. Obviously, this fluctuates up and down, but you get the idea. You can sit there for a really, really long time. What else we got? So this icon here, this is where you can set your scheduled charging. So you can kind of set it so that it only charges at specific times of the day or night. But you can also set the system to warm up the cabin. So if I enable this, for instance, let's say I want to have the interior of the vehicle warmed up at 7 o'clock. So I can put the temperature to 22 degrees. I can then also have this, specific days of the week, hitting OK there. So now every day at 7 o'clock, the cabin will warm up. Now, assuming that the vehicle is plugged in. So that's not the scheduled charging. That's the scheduled climate, sorry. Scheduled charging is in a different screen. Let me see where that is here. There we go. Scheduled charging is under AC charging settings. So if I hit scheduled charging, now I can actually set it to only charge during off-peak hours. So yeah, you can customize all of that stuff. And also in here is the electricity use settings. So if you want, you can adjust the spot where the battery will stop providing power to the vehicle to load adapter if you are using that particular thing. So that's kind of nice. So you can use your vehicle to load to power a refrigerator, for instance, if your power went out, and a lot of other things, because it'll do up to 1800 watts. But once the battery gets down to 30%, it'll cut that system off. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, and then of course you have your settings here where you can, again, that's where the battery conditioning was, for instance. You can put it in utility mode. So if you've got a dog in the car or whatever, and you want to, keep the climate control on, you can do that. That's also good for camping in the car. So if you want to sleep in the car, put the seats down or whatever. Smart regенeration's here as well, which is essentially allowing the car to adjust the regen settings. And then we have charging alerts. So when you start charging, it'll actually tell you that the car has started charging. So that's just some EV specific things in this infotainment system. For the rest though, please check out the video below, as I've mentioned a couple times. All right, to the right of the infotainment system, we have a nice little parcel shelf here above the glove box. So that's how you open the glove box, a reasonable size. We have up on the mirror, the auto dimming mirror, and it's actually got the home link button. Sorry, you can't see that. I'm having trouble getting the camera to focus on that. Maybe if I turn the flash on, there we go. So we got 3 buttons there. It's for your garage doors or gates. And then above that, we have the headliner panel here. So we've got LED lights, map lights. This button turns on all the lights when the doors open, or just whenever you want, or just off all the time. Control over the sunroof. That does have a nice sunroof, actually. So it's got a power opening sunroof. It does the power slide and tilt. And then there's also a powered cover that will cover the entire thing as well. And you can stop that anywhere along the way just by pressing that button a second time. And then of course we have 2 side visors, both of which slide out. They both have mirrors and lights as well. All right, and that's where I'm going to leave this video. So thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you out, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and check out the links in the description below if you want to save some money on things like tires and wheels, or camping equipment, or car parts, EV parts, things like that. I've got some pretty good suppliers in there. I've just added a new one, EV Sport Line, which has a lot of great products for EVs, so check them out as well. A little bit of a discount using the discount code EDSGarage. So by all means, check those links out. I just recently got a induction cooktop from AMZ Chef, and that company is surprising me more and more. The stuff that they have is pretty awesome. Induction cooktops, juicers, things like that. And the 15%, I believe, or sorry, the EDSGarage discount, I believe, is 15% on some products. And quite frankly, their products are awesome. They work really, really well. So yeah, check out the link for that company as well. In any case, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Till next time, take care.